Welcome to Shalina's Hub. This is Shalina. This is about divine sprouts, resilience in the face of drought. In the southernmost reaches of Ethiopia, where the jagged edges of the Great Rift Valley crumbled onto the arid plains of the Somali region, there lay a small farming village known as Heder. It was a place of modest homes and toiling people, all nestled under the golden umbra of the African sun. Among these humble inhabitants was a man named Tesfaye. Tesfaye was a man of great stature and a greater heart, but he was not spared from the relentless whims of fate. The rains, once plentiful and life-giving, had long ceased. The arid winds swept across Heder, transforming verdant fields into barren stretches. Every single day Tesfaye looked upon his withering crops and starving cattle, the weight of the heavens pressing onto his sun-baked shoulders. His young daughter Ebeba, a girl of no more than 10 years old, watched him. She was a splendid little thing, eyes too large for her sunken face. Body was lean from too many missed meals, yet her spirit remained untamed, and her eyes lit with a divine spark, even in the face of adversity. Tesfaye would watch her play with simple sticks in the dust, making castles in the air with a child's faith and dreams that were richer than the meager porridge they had for dinner. Tesfaye wondered, how could one so young endure so much, yet still find joy in such scarcity? Tesfaye believed it was God who granted Ebeba this fortitude, and he prayed each night for her spirit to never waver. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The drought, undenying and undying and relentless, it was hard. Despair lurked on the outskirts of Heder, a silent predator awaiting to strike. Tesfaye often found himself on the edge of surrender, yet each time he'd look at Abeba and find strength in her innocence and unwavering hope. Despite the gnawing hunger, he was determined to protect his daughter and their village. Then, one day, while Tesfaye was toiling under the pitiless sun, a figure appeared on the horizon. As the stranger drew closer and closer, he was revealed to be a holy man, an Orthodox priest named Abete. He was known for wandering through the plains, a shepherd to the scattered flocks of the faithful. Abete was struck by the desolation he found in Heder. He saw the starvation etched in the villages, faced, and he saw their bodies shrunken, and the once rich fields lying parched and lifeless. Abete was so moved by the sight of Tesfaye, whose spirit was unyielding as the African Iroko tree, refusing to bow to the harsh winds of suffering. Tesfaye, said Abate, the body is but a vessel, and it is the soul that defines us. This drought, you see, this hardship, it is but a test from God. He does not wish for you to suffer, but rather he wishes for you to grow. But Abba, Tesfaye replied. His voice was raw. My body may endure, but it is my heart that aches. How can one grow when his child knows not when her next meal will be? Abate looked at Tesfaye, seeing the man's desperation mirrored in his eyes, and after a long moment of silence, he said, Faith, Tesfaye, faith. You see, faith is a root that anchors us from the storm, and God provides for the lilies in the field. And if God provides for the lilies in the field, then he shall provide for you, Abeba. And these words resonated with Tesfaye. He nodded, thanking the priest for his counsel, and then returned to his work, his hands firm on the hoe, determination carved onto his face. In the following days, Tesfaye's prayers grew more fervent, his faith undying, like a flame in the heart of a storm. He labored in the fields from dawn to dusk, his body protesting with each passing hour, but his spirit remained undaunted. And then, one day, as Abeba was playing in the dust of their homestead, Abeba, the little girl, she noticed a small green shoot piercing the parched ground. Her eyes widened, and she called for her father. Tesfaye rushed over. His eyes were growing teary at the sight of the tiny sprout. "A sign from God," he whispered, falling to his knees, and then he gently touched the tiny leaves, his rough fingers trembling. Word of the sprout spread through Heder like wildfire. The villagers, their faces gaunt and withered, gathered around the young plant, their prayers echoing through the air. They saw in the sprout a symbol of hope, a divine promise that their suffering would not last forever. They too started tending to their fields with renewed vigor, each of them harboring a glimmer of hope. In the weeks that followed, the heavens opened up, and the rain fell on the arid land of Heder. It was as if God had heard their collective prayers, as if the heavens themselves were weeping tears of joy. The land drank eagerly, and more sprouts followed, promising a bountiful harvest. And the cattle, too, found fresh pastures, their lowing filling the air with semblance of life that Heder had not had in a very long time. The village started to revive again, the skeletons of homes and huts taking on the vibrance of life once again. The laughter of children replaced the somber silences, their games growing longer and louder as the bellies were filled. And Tesfaye looked on as Abeba played, her cheeks regaining a bit of their youthful plumpness, her eyes bright with a child's joy rather than the hardness of premature wisdom. His heart swelled with gratitude. Abeba looked towards him, her laughter carrying on like the wind, and Tesfaye couldn't help but smile. He felt the ground beneath him, the dampness seeping into his palms, and above him the vast sky stretched out, a canvas painted with hues of divine grace. He knew that the road had been harsh, that their struggle had been greater than most could bear. But through all this hardship, they had found a way guided by the unseen hand. And he whispered, "God, you have truly provided," his voice getting carried away by the wind. He watched as his daughter skipped towards him, her arms open wide. He embraced her, the scent of rain and soil and life filling his senses. Despite all they had been through, Tesfaye felt a contentment that he had never known before. In life, the threads of their hardship had woven a pattern of profound beauty, and in this moment under the vast African sky, Tesfaye realized the truth of Abete's words. Their faith had anchored them during the storm, and now they were stronger for it. It was the struggle that had shaped him, or shaped them all. The hunger that had made them appreciate the smallest of blessings. And it was faith that had guided them, a divine light leading the way. Their journey had been very difficult, but it was in these challenges that they had truly found God. See, the story of Tesfaye and his village is a humbling reminder to those and all people of privilege, of all walks of life, of the hardships and of the struggles faced by so many in different parts of the world. It calls for recognition that while progress and prosperity have touched many lives, there still in many regions are people grappling with basic necessities like food, like water, shelter. And despite these adversities, individuals like Tesfaye display extraordinary resilience, embraced by their faith and community. Let this be a reflection on our global responsibility to alleviate such suffering, to approach assistance not as a charity, but as a pathway to uplift human dignity. It's our responsibility. It underscores the importance of gratitude for our blessings and the need for empathy and active engagement in addressing global inequalities. Finally, it calls upon us to draw from their spirit of endurance and faith, realizing that our challenges, no matter how daunting, can, be, can be surmounted with perseverance, hope, and sense of shared humanity. So I ask, dear God, endow me with the resilience to shoulder our shared struggles with dignity and discernment, to recognize my own blessings in the humblest of moments, and the generosity to reach out to those in need, so that my life and all our lives may be woven together in the shared fabric of humanity. Amen. If you've enjoyed this session, please spread the message and share. And please join me at shalinashub.com. Thank you for listening.